Hey guys, how's it going? I'm teacher Reginaldo. So today's video is gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna do this video entirely in English, so you're gonna be able to hear and to see me speaking like this, The video is gonna be full in English. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story and how I learned English and everything like that. Okay, so let's go. So my story actually starts in high school. As you can see, I have a bass here. And yes, I am a musician. And besides being an English teacher, I play in a band. And I've been playing this instrument for more than 25 years. And music has always been a big part of my life. So I think a lot because of that, especially because back in the day, I used to listen to lots of bands, and I was always curious about what those guys were saying in those lyrics. And, I wanted to learn English and understand everything, And of course, I was always attracted to the language somehow. At first, I just wanted to understand the lyrics, get more into the songs I liked, sing along with them. But suddenly, this attraction to music moved on to movies. And when I got more into movies, I thought, hey, it would be really cool to understand a movie without having to translate or without subtitles. It would be awesome to understand a movie without any help, And so I decided to study English, more consistently, more seriously. So I started learning English. I started studying English on my own, searching for videos on YouTube, searching for words, talking to people around me who spoke the language, but it was all pretty loose, pretty random, and that's why I always recommend to students study with a teacher, study at a school, because a teacher or a school, they give you a step-by-step plan to follow. So you won't get lost. You know where to go. You won't get confused. I would create a file on my computer and just put words in there, all the words I learned, I put there. And I try to make up a sentence. I try to create a sentence with those words, but, randomly. That's hard because it's difficult to get these ideas and align them in a way that actually makes sense. That's why I recommend, guys, study with a teacher, study with a method, study at a school. It's way easier. And after a long period of time doing this, studying a lot, studying hard, struggling a lot, there came a point where I watched the movie and I understood a lot. I watched the video on YouTube and I understood a lot. I listened to a song and I understood a lot. So I realized, hey, I'm speaking English. Am I speaking English? Because I'm understanding everything. But like I say, guys, understanding is not the same as speaking the language. Understanding is easy. To understand something is just to recognize patterns. It's easy. But when you need to speak, that's the difficult thing. And why is it so difficult for many people to speak? Because they don't speak. Simply because of that. You have to practice speaking. You have to produce the language. Reading is easy. Listening is easy. But when you need to speak, that's difficult because you have to create some paths, in your brain. You have to create this logical, thoughts. You have to put ideas together, and that's difficult. You need to practice in order to be able to produce English, to pass an information, to pass an idea, to express your thoughts, and that's why many people can't speak because they don't practice speaking. But back to my story. In the place where I used to work, I got the opportunity to talk to an American. And it was a 70-year-old lady, yes. And we talked a little bit. And, I was so nervous, because it was my first time talking to foreign people. So, we talked a little. And at the end of the conversation, she said, "Wow, your English is very good." And I was like, and she said, "Yes, your English is amazing." And I was, I've never been to the US or to the UK. And she said, "Yes, you speak as if you were in America." And it was like, part of me was like shocked. And the other was like, I was so excited about those words because, I don't believe it. I was able to talk to a native person, to a native English speaker, just because I've studied some sentences on my files, on my computer. And it was kind of crazy to believe that because, yeah, I always say this to my students, guys, don't take me as an example because the way I learned, it was it was crazy because, like I said, learning things randomly, it's not the best way to learn. You're going to suffer and you don't want that. Believe me. So in this same place where I used to work, I had a colleague, a friend of mine, and he was doing a course at a language school. And I remember one day he came up to me and said, "Hey, so I'm doing a course at this school and their method is so cool. The school is amazing, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, great. So I speak a little bit of English too." And, sometimes we talked a little bit. And I thought, hey, so what if I, do a course as well? What if I go there and, get a certificate? I was thinking about it, and so I did. So I went to this school, just to know more about the method and how things work and how many books would I have to go through. I talked to the person in charge there, and, and she said, "Okay, so I can see that you can speak. Okay, we have 10 books here. I think you can start from the book 8. So I did book 8, 9, and 10 and got a certificate. But like I said, guys, and I always say this, don't take me as an example because studying English for me was always, a fun thing to do. It wasn't like, oh my God, I need to study English today. Oh my God, what am I going to do? No, for me, it was like, fun to do, because I've always loved learn new things. You just have to find a purpose to do it. What's your purpose? For example, back in the day, my purpose was understanding the lyrics. My purpose were movies. I wanted to watch a movie and understand the whole thing without subtitles. Still today, I study a lot of English because I want to get my students a good experience. Do you want to study with me? Send me a message. I think I can help you. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment as well. I would like to know what you thought about this video. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.